Okay, everybody, I am joined today by Rhea Seehorn, a.k.a. Kim Wexler from Better Call Saul. Rhea, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am excellent. So, first off, it's just a dream of mine to be talking to you. So this is an interview I'm really especially excited to do. And I have a lot of questions I just want to kind of like shoot your way that I've been dying to ask you for 5 seasons. But I actually wanted to start off with the end of last season where it ends on the iconic shot of Kim in shock of this Saul character in front of her. Now, you know as Rhea, and we as the audience know where it ends up with Saul, but how do you get to the part of Kim that's not knowing that and that you can sell that to us as an audience that you don't have a clue of where this is going? How do you get to that as an actress?
That I don't have a clue of what's happening in that moment, or that I don't know where the Saul character ends up.
Where the Saul character ends up.
Yeah, that is something that I have to consciously remind myself of quite a bit, because it'll even come up in panel discussions and stuff, where you discuss the show with fans and critics and stuff, and they will sometimes be curious about how Kim, if someone as intelligent as Kim could ever be involved with, and they'll speak of the person that they see at the end of Breaking Bad. And I have to remind them that I have to remind myself, Kim had not seen Breaking Bad. So one of the genius elements of the show that Ben Stiller and Peter Gould have always put in there is certainly it's this origin story of Saul Goodman and how Jimmy McGill became Saul, but there's also a lot of other characters, most of them, myself included, that you're also watching these sort of incremental steps at a time. It isn't about would this character go A to Z? The question is, would this character go A to B, and then B to C, and then C to D? So I try to take the scripts and the moments and the scenes for what they are presently, a step at a time. And that being said, the end of last season still was this sort of much larger step. And for Kim, I think that it is just as, if not more so, disorienting that he has done it without her. That she thought they were doing the scam for quote unquote the better, which is still a scam, making the bar thinking that he is bereft about his brother and, really is repentant in all of this, because I think Kim believes he should be practicing, he does deserve his law license, and is inherently a good person. If they could just see the other sides of him. And we as the audience often see him through Kim's eyes to see like there are redeeming qualities about him. And his intentions are often morally and ethically correct. It's just his methods are not, although we're crossing over into other territory as he becomes Saul.
Yeah.
I think that in that moment she thought she was helping him, and unfortunately the biggest blow to her is that she's been made the fool. She became emotional about it, and she wasn't let in on the scam.
Right. So when we see now in episode 1 of season 5, when Kim is like, we're first seeing her kind of in action with this Saul Goodman character, and Kim is with her clients at a bench, and she knows she's kind of like in a tight spot here, but Saul comes through and suggests them to do a performance to get what would work. Right. And you could see during the scene that Kim is like, Jimmy, calm down, and constantly still calling him Jimmy and saying, Jimmy, stop. And then at the staircase right after, Kim to herself kind of like freaks out. Now, this is one of those scenes where there's so many layers to Saul. What would you say, where were you at Kim's mindset in that scene? What is she thinking at that moment?
Yeah, it's a great scene, and of course the brilliant Peter Gould wrote it, and Bronwyn Hughes directed it. And it was really wonderful to play this idea that he's really testing the idea that if we're going to, as they say in last season, use our powers for good, and she is playing a very dangerous game of when it is okay to color outside the lines and when it is not. And in this moment, it would be for the better, kind of, on paper, if this young man didn't go to trial. And Kim can see that, and she knows it. But it is also unethical and against the bar to lie to your client. But this client has to make the decision on his own. So it was really wonderful to play that struggle, because it really gets to the heart of the game she's been playing with herself.
Right.
And in the end, she does it Jimmy's way. And I think it is really hard for her. I think we played that scene in the stairwell quite a few different ways, trying it out. Is it sickening to her? Is it infuriating to her? Is she angry at herself or angry at Jimmy? Or both? Because we have prior to now, we mostly see her get excited when she pulls off some kind of mini scam or something with him, and then you'll see the guilt later. But in this one, she is immediately really bothered by it. And for me, I played it as a very disorienting thing, that I know I have to get down this stairwell and I need to look like I told him I'm going to go speak to the judge, and I'm lying. And I'm going to go to this stairwell, and now I just have to hide like a liar in a little dark corner for 5 minutes until I can come back. And it's very lonely. And I think she feels extremely conflicted about who she is at this moment in time. And for me, it kind of left, the anger was with Jimmy, but by the time I got to the stairwell, I think it is much more conflict within herself. It's about how she feels about herself at this point in her life, who she is now, who she was before now, and who she is becoming.
It's interesting how you say that too, where, you know, Kim is such a self-aware character and has all these deep thoughts, like you're saying, and looking at herself. So I feel like in episode 2 now, when we see her with Jimmy, and Jimmy's showing her this house he wants to get them, and there's kind of like this shocked look on Kim's face, and it kind of starts progressing the story of now where's, you know, Kim and Saul's relationship going to be, or Kim and Jimmy per se. So there's a line Kim actually says in that scene when you're looking at the house where Kim says, "Oh, it's the closet of your dreams." And then Jimmy says, "Our dreams." And then Kim says back, "Sure." That line stuck out to me. So I want to know, when you were doing that scene with Jimmy going through that house and that tour, where was Kim's head at there specifically, and with their kind of relationship and where she's thinking about it?
Those were really fun scenes to shoot. And Alison Tatlock wrote that, and Norberto Barba directed. And we had a really good time mapping out this little mini journey that happens in that house. She's still upset and angry with Jimmy for what happened in the courtroom that we were just talking about in episode 1. She's more, as I said, she's more upset at herself. And so it's important to her to have these boundaries. And it's interesting that you say she's so self-aware. She's incredibly self-aware, but she also compartmentalizes to a fault in a way that she purposely blinds herself sometimes, in my opinion, and skews the way she looks at something to benefit the outcome she wants. And that includes how she looks at herself. And I think a lot of us do that. But when we're watching a character like Kim, and I've been so grateful to fans of the show and fans of my character, they really see her as a three-dimensional real person. Right. and often see their perspective through her. So it's fun. It is fun playing that, to know that somebody is, as you said, that intelligent, that self-aware, and yet has these blind spots that, for the most part, I think she creates herself. And while she's in this house, she lays down boundaries for Jimmy of like, I'm not lying to my clients, and you got to stay out of my business. And then you see these seeds of what they've always had, this witty repartee back and forth. And it's a knowing kind of comedy that they share with each other of, I know who the real you is, and you know who the real me is. And we dance around it a little bit, but it's actually the safest both of us feel. At least I can speak for Kim. I can't speak for Bob and how he plays Jimmy, but I feel like when you start to get back to that place and she's saying stuff about his closet, because it is a very funny nod to the fact that Kim has noticed that the closet at home keeps expanding with colored clothing and insane suits. And, he's starting to dress differently. And I think it's so great that they don't hit you over the head with that. Kim isn't just like, wow, you have started to wear, bright citrus colors together, because I don't actually think she's much of a fashion person. No. And one of the things I love about her is she does let people be who they are, and I think she just sort of bears witness and is like, that's interesting. So the fact that the only comment she's making is, don't pretend like I'm the person with a bunch of clothes. You're the person with a bunch of clothes. I think it's very funny and very clever in that moment.
So I guess, though, what I'm trying to get at is, am I looking too deep in the whole scene, in the sense where, like, it ends where Jimmy just seems so excited about them finally having a house, and you're like, kind of like, we'll see. Is there a reason why Kim's so, like, not back to him, like, yeah, I can't wait to get a house one day?
I think she has some awareness that this is larger, symbolic, and metaphorical, as opposed to Jimmy thinking we should buy this exact house today. He's asking her to, in my opinion, to trust the future he is going to build as Saul Goodman. And again, she hasn't seen Breaking Bad, so the Saul Goodman she knows, he let her know that he sells phones. He sells like phones at a parking lot, and wants to do crazy discount deals. And we saw, I think season 3, she sees a commercial that he made, and I think she sees more season 4. I can't keep track, but so he's humorous with some sort of dangerous edge. There's something sloppy about him. There's something, I think it concerns Kim that it is beneath his potential, and not in a snobby way, but based on what Jimmy said he wanted in life. There was a time where he wanted a seat at the big kids table and couldn't understand why places like HHM kept keeping him out of the club. And he has not talked to her about this shift in how he sees his own potential now. So I don't find Kim judgy at all, except for, like I said, she's bearing witness of like, oh, you said you wanted to go here, and you're now taking this really circuitous route that's not going to result in what you said you wanted. But here's Jimmy showing her a very expensive house, and you do see her have just small moments where she's able to smile and dream about, is it possible they could have a future? Is there a way for them to compartmentalize their relationship in the same way that she wanted them to compartmentalize their business? Can he do it his way and I do it my way, and we could still have the shady side of the law and the district court judges over for cheese and crackers on a Friday? Does that world work? And she's letting herself dream about it for just a minute, and he's selling her, and she's saying, instead of no, she's saying maybe. And he knows Jimmy knows in that scene that it's him to come get her. We all have those moments in the relationship where you know which one of you is supposed to go after the other one. He knows that. So that's why he's all positive, and he's a salesman in that moment. And I think her maybe is actually a lot. It's a lot for her to get.
Okay. Yeah. And I think that's like what you're saying too about, could this work, and this two different sides of the spectrum here live together in the future. And it's like, I guess it makes it such a tragic scene in a way, because we know, because this is a prequel, that it doesn't end up that way. And it kind of shows you like what could have been, especially where they have the two sinks together. And there's always those flirty moments between you guys, even with like the shower and stuff. So that was just a brilliant scene to me. And what I wanted to get to too is that Kim is such a mysterious character, and I think that's what makes her so interesting. What I mean by mysterious is just, we don't really ever get an inkling about her backstory. And without spoiling anything, I think in episode 3 we started to get a little hint at it. But for you as an actress playing Kim, some actors, you know, they make a whole backstory in a journal and make where they think this person kind of came from. Have you done that for Kim? Do you have in your head like what her possible upbringing was and her life story kind of?
I did. And I leave space for there to be growth, because one of the most fun things for an actor on the show is that they don't make their characters immovable objects. You grow and change. You are actually affected by things. So the Kim we see now is very different than the Kim we saw in the pilot, in an organic human being way, not like to make sure, you know what I mean? They're not tricks. Really, like, you see these characters evolve both intrinsically and extrinsically from the things that are happening. And with Kim, I did have a backstory. I collect more information as we go. It's sort of like a jigsaw puzzle that's constantly unfinished.
Okay.
I don't want to make the whole picture too clear, because I want to leave room for other pieces, but there are definitely things I thought from the pilot episode that there was never anything that happened that made me think, oh, I bet that's not true. Ideas of where she came from, how she was raised, what she left behind when she decided to leave somewhere and come, which she refuses to tell anybody exactly what city she's from, and come to a mailroom like at an age same as Jimmy. I mean, to move to Albuquerque and start over in the mailroom at HHM, I always thought, you're either running to something or running away from something if you're starting over on that level, when you're not, you know, a high school graduate intern. So what's going on there, and her addiction / repulsion of sort of scams and coloring outside of the lines. There seems to be a familiarity there, and I don't know where it's from. So I have my ideas, and I was really excited that they decided to explore some of that this season as well.
That's awesome. And Yeah, that leads me to another kind of more going into the head of Kim Wexler is how much of Rhea Seehorn is in the character of Kim Wexler?
I wish I was more like Kim Wexler. Every season when we go back and we start, I have to spend 2 days before my first scene of shooting just basically sitting on my hands, just reminding myself to be still. She's so much more still than I am.
Sure.
And I find many of her characteristics enviable, if not noble. She doesn't care about filling silences. I mean, Jesus, to have that superpower would be amazing to not care about awkward pauses in the room. She just lets people hang themselves if they're being it is. She doesn't care to make this any easier. And yet she's not mean. She just isn't, it's funny. She's such a fixer, but not in social circumstances. And I'm the other way. Like I always have to fix everything, but, I guess that part I very much understand in Kim. I completely understand the idea of when things are crazy, my salvation from it is thinking that if I put my head down and just work hard enough, I'll be okay. That everything will be okay if I pick myself up by my own bootstraps and put my nose down and keep working. And I do understand that in Kim. And it's a risky way to look at things because of course it's not true. And it's actually a control issue. But I understand why that feels safer. And I have also used that to sort of, by deduction, that also tells me something about her backstory. Her need to always make sure she can keep herself stable, well, at least try, and be able to take care of herself in any situation and be self-sufficient is kind of extreme. And so by deductive math, that is something that I've always used to say, like, well, what did you come from if you need that? Right. And it usually is the opposite.
Interesting. So when you're talking about also getting into character 2 days earlier, do you put your hair in a ponytail? Is there any part of method into this?
Getting into hair and makeup is it is big for me, as well as wearing the suit. I'm very aware physically when the few scenes when I have my hair down or I'm not in a suit. And Jennifer Bryan is brilliant with the costumes, and Trish Almeida created and designed that ponytail that people like to talk about a lot. Jennifer Bell helped us with it last season, and Sherry Montesano does the makeup. And all of these people are heavily involved with, and then Peter weighs in as well. So yes, I am aware. Once my hair is in the ponytail, it isn't sort of like, and then, the character appears because I have the ponytail in. But there is something, it's actually, I'm more aware of Kim when she literally and figuratively lets her hair down. It is very seldom. And sometimes her hair is even back, but it's a lower ponytail and it's looser. And she's usually only that way with Jimmy, except when she broke her arm, and there were whole discussions about what is she capable of, and we came up with the barrette in this sort of low slung thing. But
see, that's incredible to me.
I am aware that she has a mask. She has a mask as much as Jimmy does.
Okay, because I was going to say, that's amazing. That's how layered and specific to detail this show is, that now I'm going to be looking at the angle of your ponytail every scene to see what it's telling us.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely something that's talked about and decided, as is from the beginning with Jennifer Bryan and Trish. We thought about the working women that we all grew up with that were trying very hard to get a foothold in middle class, which is its own struggle. And many people, I think, find that accessible right now in the world. And none of those women I knew changed their hairstyles, their purse, or their jewelry ever. They don't have time for that crap.
Yeah.
Everything had to be extremely practical. And in season 1, Jennifer Bryan even did stuff that the audience wouldn't even see, which is my suits they're off blue or off black. They don't match. We decided that she probably still has to go to Marshall. Nothing wrong with Marshalls, but she's trying to she has separates. She has 2 jackets and 3 skirts that she keeps switching around, and they weren't tailored.
Right.
We made them fit like they fit, like you bought off the rack. And then as it has progressed and she made more money, the fit has changed. But we repeat tops and bottoms and all of that, and shoes, and the jewelry does not change. And so it was all born of a practical thing, and also just trying to honor people who really do work their asses off trying to pull themselves up out of something.
Yeah, that's really awesome, and it shows in the work that how much effort all these departments and yourself do for this character of Kim. It's really a spectacle to watch. The last question I had for you, Ray, is someone tweeted one day to you an idea of you playing Debbie Harry in a Blondie biopic, and I was like, oh my God,
yeah.
that is genius. Would you do it, and what is your favorite Blondie song?
Probably. I mean, I love Blondie. Probably Heart of Glass.
Oh, it's a great one.
Yeah, I would totally do that.
Yeah, I think I literally, like, when I saw that tweet, I was like, oh my God, that is literally like the perfect match. And that goes to what I want to say at the end of this interview, is that we need, as the audience, to support you, and that is a petition for Rhea Seehorn to get Blondie, to get an Emmy that's way overdue, and to please make a Funko Pop of Kim Wexler. All these things need to happen, and they will happen, I believe. But
that's very kind of you.
Thank you so much, Ray, for joining me. It's really an honor. And when I started out doing interviews on this show, when I started covering season 1 of Saul, it was one of my dreams that one day I'd get to talk to you, and it's happening. So this is still a pinch me moment. So I'm really grateful for it and grateful for you doing it.
Oh, that's so nice of you. Thank you very much.
Is there anything you'd want to promote besides Better Call Saul, or that we look forward to?
I just shot an amazing film in upstate New York.
I saw
called,
that you had
Things Heard and Seen.
Yes.
Yeah, that should be coming out on Netflix. It's such a great story based on the book When All Things Cease to Appear. And James Norton and Amanda Siegfried are the leads, and they're both so wonderful. Sherry Springer Berman and Bob Pulcini directed it. I'm really excited. It's a psychological thriller, and we had so much fun doing it. And I feel like there's something else I'm forgetting.
There was I saw on IMDb that, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a film you're going to be in directed by the lovely Julie Ann Emery. Is this true?
Oh, that's in the works. We're trying to make that happen.
Oh, that would be amazing.
So great. Yeah,
awesome.
That would be fun. And I'm going to do, she's directing a reading of a new play as well that I'm going to do next weekend.
Awesome.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun. And I'm directing my second short that I hope to put out and put in festivals. And doing a lot of fun voiceover work. I play a really fun character in a show that I don't think I'm allowed to say yet, in an animated show that's coming out.
Exciting.
And another long-form podcast, serialized narrative thing that's really fun, where I play a detective, and I'm executive producing and playing the lead in that.
That's amazing. I cannot wait. Everyone, please check out Better Call Saul every Monday night at 9 p.m. on AMC as the season progresses after that awesome first and second episode. Much more to come. Ray, thank you so much, and have a great day, and I hope to talk to you for season 6.
Thank you.